Mel, at 80 minutes last Sunday, the journey home was probably looking quite rosy. I bet it was quite a long journey home then.
Yeah, I think the immediate emotion after the game was obviously disappointment. When you score 3 goals away from home, I think you want to come away with more than a point, but we didn't. But we did come away with something, and that's the positives that we're taking from the game.
I mean, overall, you're pleased with the performance, bearing in mind where Charlton are in the table as well?
Yeah, I think it's always a tough place to go. Obviously know Karen personally really well. Got a very competitive squad. They will be up there challenging like they always are every season. And like you say, they're on a good run of form and they were unbeaten, so I think we would have took a point before the game. I think that's fair to say. But I thought we showed some really good moments at the Valley last weekend, and we're delighted with the 3 goals that we scored.
Are you feeling, in one sense, quite grounded because the start you made, and then you've got a couple of wins, but you always know these things can come back to bite you sometimes. You don't get too carried away after 2 wins? No,
certainly not. I think also the week that we had in terms of the 3 fixtures, it's very demanding on the players. They're still quite new to kind of the physicality and the loading of what it actually takes to get through a 3-game week. So to manage the squad, a very small squad as well with the injuries that we had, was really important. But the players that were selected on Sunday put an unbelievable shift in. And like we say, we were happy that we came away with a point.
It's difficult to know mentally if you won the game, going into the Newcastle game on the back of 3 wins on a high, but having drawn the game and sort of being disappointed at that, is that a sort of kick up the backside going into the Newcastle game, and can work in a sort of positive respect?
Look, I think the players are positive. We came back in on Tuesday and there certainly wasn't doom and gloom. There was some real good moments on Sunday, and they're the moments that we concentrate on and take confidence from. Yes, there's always going to be areas of our game that need improving. That's just football. That's the opposition. It's moments of brilliance maybe, and we learn from them and we try and put things right. And we've got a big game on Sunday that we're going to go in and try and win the game.
And in a way, it's more than a big game, isn't it? Because of the nature of the game. How have you tried to keep the players focused on the fact that it is still a league match?
I honestly haven't needed to. It is just another game. I know it's a lot of interest from obviously yourselves and the wider public in the North East, but for us it really is just another game that we're trying to plan for and prepare for and win.
And of course Newcastle coming off the back of a late defeat as well, so gives it a bit of an edge as well.
Yeah, the Championship's a tough league. No one's going to go through it undefeated. You're going to win games, you're going to lose games, and that's just the way football goes. So we've got a good week to prepare without the midweek fixture of interrupting our preparation. So we get some good work done on the grass and in the rain, and then look forward to Sunday.
And there's going to be upwards of 12,000 people there, which is good now, because I guess there's always was the fear that if there was a smallish crowd there, it's a very difficult place to go, and I think Ray Murty was talking about the under-21s. It's very hard for them to run out and play in front of 1,000 people on a pitch the size of the Stadium of Light.
But unfortunately, I think that's quite the norm in the women's game at the minute. We travelled to Charlton on Sunday, and I think there was only 500 there. So playing in these big stadiums in front of really small crowds is what probably the players are used to at this moment in time. But to have 12,000 people inside the stadium, there should be a really good atmosphere. I think one stand will be full, so it would be. We're looking forward to it. It'll be a bit different from Eppleton in terms of we'll have fans cheering on in terms of the thousands, and that's what we want when we play at the stadium.
I mean, it's great, but the other side of it is Eppleton is something a little bit special in a way, because I don't think teams like going to play you there because what it represents and the sort of atmosphere you've managed to engender playing there.
Yeah, Eppleton's just something that we're familiar with. It's something that we're used to, but we fully understand as the game grows and it becomes more of a niche for the fans to support the women's team. And if there's more than 1,800, we know we can't play at Eppleton. So if we can get them kind of numbers week in, week out who want to attend the game, then the Stadium of Light will be a regular occurrence.
So I spoke to Mary before, and of course Claudia Moan's in goal as well. Does that give it another extra edge, your former keeper? coming back?
No, not particularly. Again, we just concentrate on ourselves and we know what we need to do in order to get a result. Thanks.
Well, I know you want to just treat it as any other game, but there's quite a lot of crossover with players in the squad and some of them knowing each other and quite a lot of local knowledge. There must have been a little bit of extra banter in training and stuff like that because of the Wear-Tyne Derby this week.
Honestly, there hasn't. I think I can't stress enough it. The professional footballers, yes, they might be more familiar with each other. They might have played with each other previously. But the squad that we've got are really, really determined to go and win a game of football.
So do you think this is more really this derby for the fans then?
I think so. And that's what you want to. That's why probably the 12,000 people are coming out, because the rivalry is probably more prominent on the men's side than what it is the women's, because we've not played each other for a long time. But that's great for the fans, because it makes their week more enjoyable. It's something for them to look forward to, and hopefully they get to see a good game of football and then come back and support the team at Ebble.
I mean, 12,000 or more fans will be great, but is there a sense also that because it will be so different for the girls, they are going to have to try and sort of block some of that out?
I think it's about managing the game and not the occasion. We've had experiences of playing in front of larger crowds. Last year at Crystal Palace, I think there was 7,000-8,000 in. The likes of Mary McAtiernick, who you've spoke to, plays for Wales in front of big crowds. We've got some real good experience in the team. Jessie Stapleton plays for Republic of Ireland, played in front of 45,000 people last year. So, we've got some good experience within the squad, and, like we say, we'll manage the game, not the occasion.
And maybe relying on some of those players to maybe keep some of the younger ones kind of a bit grounded about the whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we say, it'll have a different feel, but hopefully it's a nice feel, and the 12,000 Sunderland fans can roar the lasses on.
So when you're looking at the table and you can see that there's 3 local teams in the championship, and the fact that you're getting 12,000 at the weekend, that is such positive news for the women's game overall, isn't it?
I think it's huge for the area. I think I mentioned it a couple of months ago when we didn't really have a focal women's team in the North East playing at we're not quite WSL standard, all 3 teams, but we're strong championship teams, and it's important to have sustainability within the area, so the younger players in the pathway can have an exit route into becoming professional footballers. And as time goes on, we want to progress and we want to be higher up, and ultimately if we could get into the WSL in the future, then that's it's great for the area, because there's it brings a lot of revenue into the city.
And of course the derbies are coming thick and fast, because the week after that you've got Durham as well, who are going great guns this season. Yeah,
they've had a really good start. Again, they've obviously had a last minute win against Newcastle at the weekend, so like we say, it's competitive. It's it was a 1-0 win. It's obviously been a close game, so we'll take one game at a time, and we look forward to not much travel over the next couple of weeks.
Absolutely. And finally, how much would it mean to you to get 3 points from this one?
As much as it would every other week. We just got to try and win a game and get ourselves higher up the league. Thanks.
Hi, Nell. You mentioned there, obviously, it's not a game that's been circled in your calendar that you're treating any differently. But for the fans, obviously, it does mean it's a big occasion. How important is it that the players use that at the weekend? Yeah, we want
to put on a good spectacle for the fans. We want to play some good football to invite and encourage the fans to come back to support the team. Of course, we want to put a good show on. But ultimately, the thing that the fans are going to remember is the scoreline at the end of the game. So we have to do what we need to do in order to win.
And as we said this year, the league has a few more derbies in it. What does it say about the development of the game in the North East, kind of at the grassroots level? Do you think it's given it more of an advert for development for young players?
I think I can probably only speak in terms of our pathway. I think historically we've had an excellent pathway underneath the first team. I think you've seen through kind of the League Cup last week at Sheffield, we give debuts to Eva Buick, who's been in the pathway for a long time. I can't envisage or recall any 16-year-old playing in a League Cup for a good 45 minutes, and she put a really good performance in. So the pathway in terms of our club is really bright, and it's something that we prize ourselves on and continue to work with.
And obviously unbeaten in your last 3 games, how important is that momentum to take into the next game, whether it's a derby or just any other fixture?
I think it's really important. I think we got to trust the process. We didn't get off to a great start in the league. That was evident for everyone to see. We obviously weren't happy with how we started, but we've dusted ourselves down and turned it round. And off the back of last week, the 3-game week, not being beaten, that's really important, and that's something that we want to continue.
And lastly for me, obviously in the build-up preparation, as you say, will carry on as normal, but in the game, is there a bit more needle in these matches?
I think there always is, isn't it? It's a local derby, it's what the fans want to see. I'm sure there'll be some competitive duels in and around the pitch at some point, and a derby always produces that kind of game, so I'm sure you'll see some competition on there on Sunday.
Thanks, man.
Hiya. You mentioned Jessie Stapleton got her first goal for the club against Sunderland. How happy are you with the way that she settled?
I'm delighted. I think for someone so young, only 19, a centre-back who has so much experience at such a young age, absolutely delighted with how she settled in. I think it's really difficult when you're travelling from, you're used to living in London and you're coming up to the North East. She's relocated, she's got herself a nice little flat in the city centre, and she's really settled in. She's loving life as a Sunderland player. She's got great potential. I can see why West Ham really rate her. I can see why they've loaned her out to get more valuable minutes, and she's putting in performances that we're all proud of. And
obviously, noise aside surrounding the game, what sort of challenges are you expecting Newcastle to
I think they've got a good squad. They've obviously recruited some really experienced players, but again, it's a very similar field to the other games that we play. There's a mixture of experience and some youthfulness in there, and they've had a good start to the season, there's no doubt about that, so we'll prepare ourselves as we always do, and we'll make all the focus on us.
And injury wise, how's the squad looking? Healthy? Good? Any fresh concerns?
There's no fresh concerns. I think there's a few battered, bruised bodies off Sunday. It was such a competitive game, but yeah, we'll nurse them little wounds, and I'm sure we'll be fine for Sunday. Thanks.
Now, what have you made of Newcastle's ambitions this season? Obviously, their ascent through the leagues has been well documented. I mean, what do you make of their ambitions as a club, and kind of how do you judge their start to the season, the first championship season?
I think they've obviously done well to get promoted from Tier 4. I'm not sure what internally what their ambitions are. To be honest, I'm not on the outside looking in like you are, but they've done well to get out of the lower divisions. We've been there ourselves. It's tough. It's a really hard league to get out of. And like I say, I can only comment on what they've done so far this season. They've got some good results, and I'm sure they'll want to continue that as well.
How much does women's football need these kind of rivalries as well? I know that in previous years there's been Sunderland Derby, and those have been really big games, but you said before Sunderland Newcastle on the men's side, such a huge game, and it definitely has more eyes for the women's side coming into this weekend. Yeah,
I think in maybe years to come, if we're still playing each other, then I think it'll become even a bigger derby. I'm sure the return leg when we go to St James's in March, I think it is, that it'll probably have a more of a feel to it as well, because it'll, once you've played one, you then get your teeth stuck into them. But yeah, a derby's a derby. I don't need to sit here and say we're not familiar with what it's going to feel like or sound like. We know it's going to be tough, and it's you've got to turn up on the day in order to get something from the match.